The Swedish krona too. Sweden's central bank is widely expected to cut by a full percentage point to 2.75% after bringing their meeting forward from December the 16th, so plenty to watch out for there. We'll have live reports on the central bank decisions later in the show. CNBC's Sylvia Vadva is in Brussels keeping tabs on the ECB, while Anna Martin will bring us up to speed on the Bank of England meeting a bit later today too. Let's check on European opening calls. We are expecting the European markets to open, well, just mixed really, a little bit lower for the FTSE, down by 2 points, while across in Germany and France we're expecting the DAX and the CAC to open higher by just about 4 or 5 points.
Base sweet crude right now, Becky, is trading like this here in Asia. $45.54 is where it stands. We saw the weekly U.S. inventory data out overnight showing that crude oil supplies actually fell last week when the market had been expecting a build in inventory. Let's get more on what's happening in the markets right now with our first guest, Jonathan Kornfeld, is Director Asia at Hudson Capital Energy. He joins us live on set. Jonathan, listen, when you look at how the market's reacting to the somewhat bullish data, it's not happening. I mean, the market still isn't reacting to that. Why not?
Right. Well, it was certainly bullish data, and all the attention was really focused on it yesterday. It was very bullish across the board, but the market still ended lower by the end of the day. I think you really need to take it into context of what we've seen for the last couple of months. We've had 8 straight weeks of builds in crude oil. So on the one hand, the crude oil draw had a lot to do with lower imports in terms of just crude oil coming into the United States. On the gasoline side, we've actually seen demand uptick a tiny bit on the retail side because we've seen gasoline prices come down so much. A lot of that had a little bit to do with the holiday season that we're in right now. And third, you had a distillate draw also, which also played into the fact that there was less imports. There's refineries are doing less production of distillates and heating oil. And third, there was a cold spell in the U.S. Northeast, which is an enormous user of heating oil. So that sucked out what little inventories there were, and they're not. The refineries right now aren't replacing it. So that the numbers were sort of digested, swallowed, and market came off.
Jonathan, it's Rebecca in London here. Just on the demand side of this picture, we've seen oil prices coming off, what, $100 a barrel? Are we seeing the kind of demand increase, or are we likely to see the kind of demand increase coming through as a result of the oil price coming down? I mean, how elastic is that demand?
I really don't think so. The very slight demand increase that we've seen, as I said, was on the consumer level, the retail level, from people buying petrol on the road just during the holiday season right now. I really don't expect that to continue. If anything, I expect it to turn around, continue to get worse in the meantime. The economic situation is going to continue to deteriorate into 2009, and probably for the better part of 2009. It may even continue to get worse. OPEC, for their part, continues to be wrong-footed in terms of they're constantly behind the market. I think they're afraid to cut a little bit too much because then they're going to have to play catch-up ball in 2010 by releasing more oil.
It appears then that the markets are focusing more on the demand side than on the supply side. At which point might we see more of a balance in terms of what the market wants and what the market's focusing on?
Well, in terms of price, I think maybe even get below $40 level into the 30s. Second of all, you need to see an economic bottom in terms of the global economy and even a bit of a rebound. And after that, you still need to eat into the surpluses right now in the inventories and the extra capacity that OPEC now has because of all these cuts.
Okay, we'll look out for those then. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Jonathan Kornfeld, Director Asia at Hudson Capital Energy. Some of the other top stories we're following here in Asia. The U.S. and China have kicked off their 5th strategic economic dialogue in Beijing.